I just want to see. So the network allows us to do Facebook, no problem, but it doesn't allow us to do anything else, no problem.
The network is also bad. I don't know why it's like that.
It's already 5 past 6. Let me check. We're having a problem that Terry, my assistant, is having a problem with the network. Yeah.
I think you are live on Facebook at Twitter now. You are live on Clubhouse.
Okay, can we do a countdown? It helps. From 5, yes. Yes.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Borders SDG Book Club. And welcome to the final event in our campaign, our second campaign to celebrate African children. The books we select in the club engage with the principles embedded in one or more of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And the club also to promote the United Nations International African Decade by showcasing the gifts and skills of African children living on the continent and in the diaspora. It's my joy today to have with me in the club, Amina Katagum, a young girl, schoolgirl based in the UK, who's an early teenager who will tell you all about herself in a few moments. But what I'd like to do is to introduce the book we're going to be reading from and chatting about, A Jigsaw of Fire and Stars by Yaba Badoe, by reading an excerpt of the review I wrote when it came out in 2017, just to set the scene. So let me find my review. A Jigsaw of Fire and Stars by Yaba Badoe. Mama Rose's circus of misfits, throwaways, and refugees dominate Sante's waking hours. This adopted family, reviled as gypsies, must flee the police, black boots, and take cover off the grid, while cherishing one another, giving refuge to strangers, protesting injustice, and they are not all what they seem. But Sante's colorful family is displaced at night by the restless undead, the ghosts of her murdered birth family, who crowd dreamscapes as she sleeps, their yells and screams subsiding into a white noise of inchoate protestations, which night after night break through her sleep. Clues to a wider figuration are hidden treasures aboard this fantasy ship. When you stumble on one, it's a cue to look for others. As a referent, Europe's 21st century migrant crisis will be as clear as the day. But what might elicit an older reader's smiles of irony is the reversal of roles. poor migrants escaping persecution and conflict in Africa present as rich, laden with treasure, gold dust and diamonds, while citizens of the European host country are presented as murderous thieves. As the book nears its end, in that overpowering descent of the restless undead like a plague, will secular child readers recognize evocations of the Bible? Will they recognize Old Testament vengeance on the rich vultures feasting on crimes they perpetrate against the lives of those who don't matter to them? So I've set the context, and now I'm going to hand you over to Amina Katagum. Again, welcome to all of you. And so over to you, Amina. You're going to introduce yourselves to us and then tell us about the excerpts you're going to read from. So over to you, darling.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amina Katagum. I'm 15 years old, and I enjoy reading, obviously, and I also really enjoy drama and theatre as well. When I was younger, I used to enjoy writing stories as well. However, I haven't been doing that as much anymore, but I'd like to get into that again if possible.
A girl after my own heart. I loved all those same hobbies. I had all the same hobbies, and I still do. And I hope you carry on, and I hope you keep acting and writing.
Yeah.
So what are you going to read to us from A Jigsaw of Fire and Stars? What pages are you going to read to us from?
The first excerpt is from page 32 to 35. And I chose this one because it's quite a joyful mood throughout, and it shows them having fun together as a family, because the circus is their family. And Sante, as the protagonist, is obviously my favorite character, and it gives us an insight as to what goes on in her mind and how she thinks. For example, when she's talking about the worm, and it raises questions for the reader as well, because we want to know more about the man, Mamadou, who they're talking about.
The reception is very bad.
Yeah.
The reception is bad today. I hope we can get through.
Should I repeat that? Or should I repeat it? Could you hear my explanation, or should I repeat it? Hello? I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Amina?
Yes, I can.
So you were just about from page 32 to
35.
Okay, so over to you, dear.
Shall I start reading? It doesn't take much to set the old ones drinking. Good times, bad times, they reach for a tumbler and fill it to the brim with Redwood's home brew. Whiskey, wine, beer. He makes it in the stores and stores it in a keg in his truck. Mama Rose, still in her circus clothes, fumbles in her bra and brings out a key, totters into the back of our truck and returns with a tray. On the tray are 5 crystal glasses. Must be feeling good because those glasses only appear on her birthday when she remembers her provenance, her way of talking about where she comes from and everything she gave up. Mama Rose puts the glasses on the table. What's it tonight, Rosie? Asks Redwood. I sneak peek at Pris on the perch, opens an eyelid, spreads out her mighty talons, fluffs her feathers. On a glorious evening like this, my dearest dear, says Mama Rose, some of your cherry wine would go down a treat. The tallest man in the world disappears, returns with a jug of wine for Mama Rose, a flask of whiskey for the others. Kat sitting next to me says, what about us? Midget man brings out 3 beakers, red plastic. I don't like the taste of liquor in my mouth, so I ask for a cola. Kat fills hers up with wine, Cobra a tot of whiskey. He claims he wines a drink for girls, though I know for a fact he can't stand the taste of whiskey on his tongue any more than I can. Here's to us, Mama Rose says. Glasses sparkle in lamplight. Crystal flashes and sings as midget man's tapping finds the pitch of his hooch and hums it. Well done, all of you, says Mama Rose. Apart from a wobble here and there, we excel tonight. The old ones laugh louder than a pack of hounds baying at a hunt. Yet, underneath the hullabaloo, the hooting and whooping of a noisy chatter so small, I scarcely feel it at first. There, a worm. And if my hunch is right, the worm is beginning to turn. Burrowing up from deep down takes time. Liquor has to loosen their tongues for the worm to show itself. The first drink makes them jolly, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. Mimi takes pins out of her hair and flings her curls about, hair almost as long as she is. Black peppered, grey frizzy, soft to touch. Midget man rubs Mimi's back. Busy Lizzie and Redwood exchange glances, and Redwood looks at me. He's feeling it too, that worm of anxiety that's growing up, plump with each passing minute. Cat waves her beaker for more booze, and Redwood obliges. Wild Cobra on the other side of the room shakes his head. He hasn't finished what was inside his cup yet. Cobra puts his hand on my lap, and my fingers curl over his. I catch his eye, and my face brightens with a smile for him alone. By the time the wound on my neck is starting to throb, the old ones are on their third drink, and the fattened worm, the one no one wants to talk about, slithers into the open with a question from Midget Man. Your playing's getting better and better, Sante, he says. You played like a dream tonight, like someone possessed. He says the P word and it stops their shouting and laughing, stops them dead in their tracks. Don't rightly know what possessed means, if I'm honest. But if it's anything to do with the Mamadou fellow, that taking hold of my wits and playing his flute through me, it's got him as spooked as I am. Mama Rose swirls her wine in her glass, holds it up to the lamp, and she asks, what do you think happened tonight, Sante? She doesn't look at me. Doesn't want to, I reckon. I'm waiting, Sante. I shrug and search the old ones' faces for clues as to what they're thinking. They know how to block my prying, so I don't even try. Stare instead. Redwood, tracing the slope of his nose with his forefinger, flinches as Busy Lizzie places a hand on his arm. Redwood smiles at me, a long, loping grin that lightens the amber of his eyes. Yeah, what happened out there, kid? Midget Man and Mimi nod, encouraging me to talk, while Mama Rose holds her breath. Turns to me at last, her eyes so scared, I tasted her fear. The longer I gaze at her, the more a trace of sour milk furls my tongue and trickles bitter as bile down my throat. Two men in the audience got to me, I tell him. Lost my concentration. One of the men's black as I... Yes, Auntie? Shall I carry on?
Yes, just read the first paragraph, to the end of the first paragraph of page 55.
That one of the men, black as I am, don't know where the other's from, but the African seems to know something about me, claims to have helped me make the mouthpiece of my flute.
Thank you so much for that lovely reading, darling. I'm sorry about the power supply, the network being so messed up today. I hope it gets better for us. Otherwise, we're going to have you back again. So tell us why that excerpt was the standout piece for you. Talk to us about why that part resonated so much with you.
Because I think it gave a good overview of the circus, and because it shows them as a family. It's them having fun together as a group, them drinking and talking. And Sante, as the main protagonist, she's my favorite character, and it gives us an insight as to what goes on in her mind, like how she thinks, because everybody is talking, drinking, having fun, and then she's focused on the worm. So I just think it gives us a good insight as to what goes on in her head. And it raises questions for the reader as well, because we want to find out about the Mamadou fellow. So we keep reading.
So I mean, we have an encounter. You said it was inactive, when I was talking to you earlier. With the men, that there is a threat there, isn't there? Talk to us about that.
I can relate to this quite a bit, because sometimes there can be like a fear in the back of your head, like a threat, although nothing is actively happening to you and you're not under attack or you're not under threat at that moment in time. You just still have the fear of it. in the back of your mind. And I think that's what Sante has as well, because she's scared of the men and she feels threatened by them, even though they're not actively doing anything to harm her or to cause the fear.
Okay, we'll come back to fear and issues related to fear in a moment. But you talked about how you were very attracted to the family aspect of this excerpt. What do you think of the circus family? This coming together of all these sort of oddities. Talk to us about that, and they call them found families. Tell us about how you respond to this kind of family. It's not a biological family. Talk to us about how you respond to that.
I think in this sort of family, seeing as they're not a biological family, they might have almost a greater bond in that sense, because biological families, it wasn't your choice. But in this scenario, they chose to be together. They chose to be surrounded by one another. So that means they must really love each other and have a strong bond. And they're all really different. And the fact that they're in a circus makes it quite funny as well, because a circus family isn't really a normal type of family.
No.
Yeah, which makes it quite humorous.
So what do you think of travelers, and have you ever come across nomadic people at all in your experience here in Nigeria when you were still here, or in England? These kind of people, these kinds of who travel as a way of life.
I personally haven't come across them, but in school I have quite a few friends who have, so they talk about it quite often. And I think it's quite a cool lifestyle to live, but I don't know if it's the one for me personally, to be traveling all the time. But
what are the cool aspects of it? You say it's quite a cool lifestyle. What are the cool aspects of this sort of circus nomadic family traveling from place to place?
Allows you to see new places, meet new people, experience different cultures, and just get a sense of the world around you.
What are the aspect of it, the diversity aspect of it? What have you come across? What kinds of experience have you had, centering on the issue of diversity? People who are different. What sort of experiences have you had? You are in school in England, so it's a white majority and presumably an English majority. So you are the one that's different. What sort of experiences do you have related to your diversity?
I think in my school, people weren't really exposed to people of color before secondary school, because I feel like when you're in primary school, most people, they were surrounded by white people mostly. So when I came, people were very curious to find out about where I'm from and what it's like here in Nigeria. So I often get asked questions about my home and what it's like and how it's different to England.
But your experiences have been positive. They've been positive. They've welcomed and embraced diversity.
Yes, they have, because the school before they would never celebrate the Nigerian Independence Day, but I think because there's a large amount of Nigerians at my school, they embraced it and celebrated our Independence Day last year, and it was very nice because people came up to me afterwards and was like, "Wow, your culture is really cool. Like, the clothes are really nice and the food as well," which is kind of nice because they wouldn't have been exposed to that before.
That's really, really nice. Let's just go back to the inactive threat you mentioned earlier that was in the excerpt you read. Violence, safety to children. Have you ever had any direct or indirect experiences of that? Any of your friends, the threat to child safety, and how was it resolved, Amina, from an adult?
I haven't had any direct or indirect experiences, but I'm aware it happened because people are starting to speak up on it more now. And I've seen videos online because they try to educate us on the topic in school. So some less
specifically kind of violence or
like violence against children, like child abuse at home against children.
Yes, yes. Because of course, yes. You know, SDG 11, it's all about the
Yeah.
safety of communities. So you said they've started educating you. Are you encouraged to watch them by the school authorities? Do the school authorities talk to you about these issues?
The school want us, the school want us to learn about these issues, because if not, I think quite a few people are unaware it happens. So they want us to know it happens and just
be aware that hopefully it'll get better. The connection will hopefully get better. But isn't she doing well, Amina? It's lovely talking to her. We're still frozen. I wanted to talk to her about the second excerpt particularly. We can talk about what she would do if she were in a position of power. You're back again. Okay, carry on. Carry on, Amina. We were talking about, so the specific kind of threat, child abuse. Does the school talk to you about specific kinds of child abuse that the adults are prone to, that you have to, prepare yourself for and avoid? Do you have that kind of child protection training where you have to learn to also protect yourself?
Yeah, I think it's not more, I think it's what to do if it does happen, like how to react and how to take action if it is happening to you or somebody you know.
Is
So like
that
who to
bullying?
call.
Is that bullying or specifically from adults? Threat specifically from adults, or is it bullying in the school? What sort of threat to safety is the school concerned about?
Mostly bullying, focuses mostly on bullying, because I think they think that's more likely to happen than a threat from adults. But it really applies to all of it, really, because if you know how to protect yourself from one, it will help you protect yourself from another. And
Yeah. So they make you conscious of danger and risks, and
yeah.
you mustn't be too open. What of in terms of the books you read? Are they censored at all? Is the school particular about the kind of films you watch, books you read? Do they get involved with that at all?
I think not particularly, but the other, like a few months ago, we had an author come in, and her book was focused around like not physical threats, more like mental threats to face, like teenagers face from not people you have to know, but like from society and like the media, which was quite good to learn. And they encourage us to read books like that rather than pure. They want us to read books that have morals and stories we could learn from.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, my dear, let's have your second reading. I'm very concerned about the data supply, so while I still have you here, the connection, while I have you here, let's just get going. Let's have your second reading, the second excerpt. Which pages are you going to read from?
I'm reading from page 44 to 46.
Okay.
I toss and turn, fighting sleep by recalling everything that's happened. The flute, the African, grey eyes' ravenous stare. That look keeps me awake a long time. But in the end, sleep sidles up and gulps me down. When the dream comes, it's not as frightening as usual. I'm on Pris, looking through a storm-tossed sky on a scene of carnage. The iron monster plows through the trawler with splutters of gunfire. Waves rise and roll as the sea flings bodies to and fro. In the trawler's belly, a tall man holds me up and puts yellow dust and pretty stones in my sea chest cradle. This time, however, as I circle the sky with Pris, I look down and with her eagle eyes see a face I've never seen before. A strong, round face, stubbled hair twisted in locks, eyes dark with terror. Hands fumble through a rucksack, trawler's tips. Man slips and falls, but holds fast to a prized possession. Lurches forwards, barges past a gaunt elderly man, then fights his way through screaming passengers till he's standing over me. the baby in the chest. Soon as he speaks and I see what he's holding, I reckon it's him. Take this, my child, he says. Learn to play and keep my spirit alive. Then he buries the flute in my cradle. Mamadou, he must be Mamadou. Besides him is a man who could be his brother, burly, bald-headed. The man in the dream who usually gives me his dagger resembles the man in the audience tonight. It's got to be him. For when the trawler smashes into pieces and its cargo of people flail in the sea, he clutches a mast and lashes himself to it. I'm calm, curious from my eagle's eye view on Pris's back. When the night sky
She was doing so well. That was such a lovely reading. I just hope we can get her back. Okay, I'll carry on reading until she comes back.
Okay,
Okay, you're back. Okay, you start. I'm calm, curious. Take it from there, Amina.
I'm calm and curious from the eagle's eye view on Pris's back. When the night sky crackles with thunder and lightning, a gale of force wind slaps my face, almost dislodging me. The sky splits and a gigantic wolfhound bounds through the storm and barks at me, growls and creeps so close I feel his hot breath on my face. Gray eyes. The dream's warning me. Better the mother I know, I say to myself, than the monster waiting
outside. I shudder awake and reach for the friend who comforts me when I emerge trembling from my night travels. Pris, are you there? Pris, do you hear me? I'm always here, Sante girl. I've been with you so long. Where would I go now? I tell Pris my dream, and a membrane flips over her eyes as she ruminates. I keep talking, telling her again what I've told her already. A man called Mamadou gave his flute to me. His brother could be the African I saw tonight, a survivor of the wreck that almost killed me. Don't know why, but gray eyes frightens me. Maybe after me. Eyelids flick black and eyes spark. And what are you going to do about it, Sante girl? Bird's been with me so long, she knows when I'm running and scared. Bucks me up with feathery swish on the ear. I sit up, climb down from my bed. Cobra rolls over and murmurs, are you all right, Sante? I'm going walkabout, I tell him. He groans, flips over and falls asleep again, while I step out with Pris. So that was the second reading that Amina chose. And I'm sorry that we weren't able to have her because we had this power supply. We had lots to talk about in the 10 minutes remaining to us. But I thank Amina so much for coming on. I'm going to have her again, to read in our next book campaign. And thank all of you for coming to watch Amina read. We did get a little bit of her, and isn't she delightful? And thank you for all the support for the club. And we will keep you updated about the next book campaign and the next book and the next set of children to read. And so God bless you all. Thank you very much. I think Amina may be coming back again. She may be coming back on air again, but okay. So see you, and well, these things happen. God bless.
I'm back. It's reconnected.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to just say bye-bye to everyone very quickly? You can round it up with the reading and then just say bye-bye to everybody, because I think that we're not going to be very lucky with the power supply this time around. Just say bye-bye to everybody, Amina.
Thank you all for tuning into the live, and say thank you for having me to do the reading.
So Amina says bye-bye to everybody. God bless you all.